What's good, y'all? My name's Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Harith and welcome back to Truspace.
Yeah, and we just wanted to show you guys some videos of some religious people debating about their religion. Some Jews debating Muslims and stuff like that, just so that and then get adding some commentary on it, just so we can have some clearer perspective of how these religions not only interact with each other, where they differ, where they're the same, where these guys are, where we can probably provide an overarching um perspective of what's going on, because we understand astrology and the behind the scenes of what things are being talked about, so we can connect more dots and show you how people would be using religion to influence people and try and get into those broader overarching, and how these guys in these debates got to the mentalities and perspectives that they are arguing about and debating for and defending within these videos. So
So,
definitely be interesting to watch.
so like think about this. Think about this video as like different people within the third dimension having different form of like fights with their light bodies, essentially with the words, and they trying to basically you get word. The term word is no different than the term world. It's just one letter different because the word create the world, and this is where it's gonna be a major connotation between these different group of people who they represent different form of mentalities, and the fight between them will allow us to see almost the both side of the hemisphere or both side of the argument to a point of view that it will allow us to reach a broader understanding of what they're talking about, as opposed to get lost in the first person conversations they're having between them while they're getting offended and getting lost about how they identify with their mentality, their
Yeah.
ideas. We want to see the sharpness of their mentalities, of their idea, their logic, how they stand, how they put away their emotions and feelings, how they use their word, and how they make sense about their belief, which is a major part about life. How can you? It's not about what you believe; it's about how can you justify your belief system, and how can you make it make sense.
100%. 100%. And that's one thing that atheists and non-believers, all these non-believing ass people, or maybe more scientific based people, don't understand, that or where they begin to overlook, because you're indoctrinated into a way of thinking which is just another religion. Science is just
Mm,
another religion,
mm,
based off maybe containing more obvious elements of objectivity, but a lot of it still requires on belief in terms of methods and procedure and stuff like that, especially when you're looking at the larger body and stuff like that. But what like these spiritual resistant, type people yet don't understand is that most people in the world, 90% people in the world, are belong to a religion, and and follow certain laws and commandments that are at least 1,000 years old. So just to dismiss them is bonkers to me, or to be like, oh, this the Bible's all nonsense. You like, what do you mean it's all nonsense? How did so much people believe in it? Even if the Bible was nonsense, the fact that so much people believe into it gives it, eradicates that
mm,
status, and now makes
mm.
it significant.
Like you get to think about this. CJ, I'm gonna ask you, what's the best-selling book of all time?
The best-selling
Book
book, the
of all
Bible.
time. Exactly. That's why they have to remove it as the top seller because it was sell all the fucking time. Like a lot of people in
100.
Wish society make me angry in the aspect that they don't realize how they achieved, how far they are in the world in terms of creating a secular society, a more liberal society, was on the basis on religion. They would not have got that far of developing what they call their morality, which is a concept which was used in like colonization, telling people we have this superior morality concept of making everybody equal and balancing things out that you guys should listen to, and that gave them the justification to do it. But the concept of justifying the of using the morality this way came from religion, came from Christianity, which has a heavy root in like in European ideology in the way they may not even realize it.
100%. 100%. That's what we don't realize, that the whole idea of government and structure and creating civilizations is
Mm-hmm.
entangled with religion. It's all based off of religion and ideology.
For example, they criticize Muslim countries for Sharia law because they could execute apostles, people who talk shit about say Muhammad or the prophets. But think about how much respect that creates within the society. In like Muslim and Jew society, they never talk down about Muhammad or Moses ever. They don't even talk about their death. They talk about their achievement, how Moses saved the Jewish people, how Muhammad did Islam or wherever. Where Christianity in the other way, they allow such a attack towards their deities. They don't know how to utilize their energy properly.
One
It's
hundred percent. And
it's
I
like
can,
the same nigga they worship, they beat it down. Like that's what
yeah,
makes me die of laughing too.
100%. And that's one thing that, adds strength or the solidarity to people. And maybe it could be used to accentuate certain aspects, and it turned into a negative in terms of that Muslim example. Um, in terms of, you could really start controlling people if they can't negatively speak about the prophets, or they won't lead to certain thought patterns. But as a
Mm,
builder of civilization, do
mm.
you want people, how
Yeah,
you
exactly.
get people to get online and on the same accord, and to respect each other and to respect the law? You can't just go out and start
Mm.
saying bad things or outlandish claims without backup and evidence to not create a precedent of that. You have to have utmost respect. Having that as a standard is healthy. Maybe it can go too far, yeah, well,
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
But to demonize it entirely, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
For like example, like because they actually practice Sharia law in the United States, whether people believe it or not. They
Capital
execute
punishment.
they execute people who talks about the government, their prophets, their politicians, who they execute. Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, all these people, but they never in
Khalid
their
Muhammad,
they never in their law.
JFK.
Yeah, in their law they never write down we will execute you for doing this and this. At least in Sharia law, we give
They
you
write it down.
they
They
write
open
it
about
down.
it.
They write
They
it down.
showed you the nigga's decapitated head after.
Exactly, yo. It's not like you get caught up in a whole situation you're not even aware of, which is where Western society could be seen as a hypocrisy, where they have laws they hide behind the scene while they keep certain laws up front. This is what they have in the economical world in terms of having a public identity versus a private identity where people cannot contact you. This is what all rich people they talk about. I want to own nothing. I want to own something through a trust, through a corporation, or somewhere in Mexico, in Belize, and I want nothing. Like this rich people at it, which is so funny. You start life, I want everything, but at the end of your life, you figure you want nothing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You want less, or you want to filter things out. 100%.
But like the system, the way I'm speaking about it was built by astrology, and the Masons had to do it this way. That's why it actually makes sense. This is why it feels natural. This is why you can't call it like something like oh they're cheating or doing something like illegal.
And that's why it works. And that's what I want. I want people to you know get on and stop doubting the ideas of certain things because it makes you feel weird or because it made you feel a certain way. You can't, like, even throughout my own journey in certain things, I grew up in a Christian home where Christianity was very pushed and held in a prominent light. And then once you start becoming more broadly aware of things, you start rejecting Christianity in terms of the broadness of things, wanting to go and experience things that are outside the boundaries of what that alleged perspective comes. But look at me now, coming full perspective, understanding the behind the scenes of everything. And now I like I have no problem with that type of stuff because I understand where it's coming from. I could be Christian, Muslim, all of that different those different aspects, and agree with them. But
This is an important point we have to mention too. There's no such thing as a contradiction in the Bible, Quran, Injil, or Holy Book. It's just up to our ability to interpret them properly, which
Yeah.
is which makes sense, because this is what it does. The Bible creates multi-level of interpretation where it allows people to extract meaning and reason or understanding based upon about how far they are in their mind. This is the one of the main secrets in the Bible. Everybody read the story on a different level, but which makes sense. Like if you see how are like some Jews are, they go as far as breaking down the letters that make up the word that led them to the event based upon like whatever, basically they know how to take the macro, make it a micro, and go back to the micro, which is what we do as a humanity as a whole.
That's reality. Yeah, you
Mhm.
know, it's not linear like that. Yeah, you think about your life in a large scale, and then you go and take a shower or some shit like that, or it's very minuscule or whatever, and then you go and try and change the world. Small microcosm to 100%.
Mhm. What else? But yeah,
But yeah, I could. Oh, it's this rabbi. I know this guy.
you know
I
him,
like that rabbi. Yeah,
Joseph. Yo,
Joseph. That's
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
He has
that's
a
my
Bible
nigga.
series, not a
Yeah,
Bible
yeah.
series. He has a
He has he,
series
he has a lot
of
of
the
serious.
Torah,
This
proving
guy's
the science behind the Torah, and that's where I heard of Bible. I mean Torah codes and shit like that. I heard it from this guy, and he was kind of blowing my mind with some of the
Mhm.
things.
This dude right there. We're using like the people we're using here are people. Not only they didn't just adopt these ideas or these mentalities, some of them grew up in it to the point it actually molded their mentality in a way, because we want to see what does a Muslim mentality look like, what does a Christian mentality look like, which is an important point without all the extra filtration, so we can
Yeah.
understand like these systems and how they play out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100%. But yeah, let me start it with that with the Muslim debating the Jew. Out on the street, your real street battle type shit, but it's very interesting. And there's
Mhm.
one Jew, no hate, no disrespecting, but he kind of looks like he has Down syndrome the way I'm looking at the guy.
his
He
name
looks
is
a little warped.
his name is I think Aaron, and then he claims he's from the tribe of Levi, yo.
Oh, interesting. Nigga has a little swirl on his thing, but that's the timestamp that you gave me there, eh?
Yes, yeah.
All right, all right.
So like this conversation is surrounded about how they interpret God and how do Jews and Muslims go about utilizing words to understand God attribute, and what's the rules that they should lay down or not, and what is legal or not legal, aka the first form of law in the mental esoteric world.
But so my existence and his existence are two different types of existence. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. No, but I'm you come into the Al Sunnah wal Jama'ah now. No. You are living Allah's name.
You can hear it, no?
Yeah.
The same is no rest. No rest is deficiency. Okay. No. Rest is deficiency. Let's go back to rest. God does not rest. So debate with him. He says rest. No, I'll tell you what he's trying to bring a point. Okay. God rest is for our understanding to comprehend what it means. That creation came to a completion. Yeah. For humans to understand when the work ends, it's not related to God. It's our relation for us to understand what happened. That is not in its essence. It is within our human limited mind frame to be able to comprehend it. So we use words for humans to understand and comprehend. So God. You're gonna use deficiency. God does not rest. He does not sleep. He does not slumber. So the Torah was so is it when in the Torah said God rests in the flesh, is that a lie or true? It is human. It's true for humans to understand. No. Listen carefully. We said God rests in the flesh. Is that true or a lie? What do you mean for humans to understand? Bro, you are no. Listen. You can't listen. Aaron. You can't. Aaron. I was speaking. I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish.
Pause for a little bit.
If you want to ask, and the Torah says God.
Yeah. The Muslim is trying to draw a line between how he describes his mentality in terms of that he basically he's trying to say that you can't be good or bad or utilize good or bad because they always want to attribute one side of the equation to basically to their deity while not attaching the other side to it, which put him in a false standing, which he perceives as actually a strong standing, while the Jew is trying to explain to him why we're making this standing. The standing we're making is actually limited based upon our interpretation. So even if you try to create rules for us to stand on, we will not be able to stand on it because it's limited the same way how we create technology, but it's limited. So we cannot rely alone with our words, even to the point. Is it at the end that you even might even he will I say that we don't even believe in God. We just try to believe in God through the word, which is the funniest part. And the Muslim is so like hard headed about it, which makes so much sense because it's a whole
the two mindsets.
yeah.
100%, because you can see, and this shows the difference, because you'll find an Ephraim, in on Wall Street. You'll find them on like all the dirty brokers that are stealing the money. You'll find them, the Epsteins, the Weinsteins, the Goldbergs and shit like that.
The
You'll find them
lawyers.
all up in the motherfucking porn industry, Hollywood, at these top executive positions. Show me one, what's a little Muslim? Show me one Muhammad. Show me one Muhammad up in these things. Show me one Muhammad porn star or porn executive, but just saying that as an example of showing the mindsets in terms of look at him saying that how we can only, this is condensed down to interpret, we can only interpret it to a limited view. And I understand the Muslims' frustration, because how can you believe and design your life around a very limited understanding and concept? But if you're developing a mentality based off of that understanding, it's going to leave a lot of room for you to bend the rules and to go into places maybe you shouldn't go. But hey, I'm only a small human. I can't understand. But look at the Muslims and how you'll never find them in those particular types of spots. Whereas maybe the Muslim can be more evil, or he's beating his wife, or or he's doing whatever else. You won't find him there. You know what I mean? He might be a worse person than that porn executive. But you won't find them there because of the hard-headed belief, strict belief that they have in following the word for word.
Which actually, in my opinion, shows to like the Jewish history and Muslim history. Muslim history, it's kind of it expanded very quickly because the way they go about their belief system. This is our belief system, and then we believe in it, and then they go all the way. They'll sit down, tiptoe, and play with the words, and then they decide to move this, and like because this is how Jews take over the world through tax laws, playing with the micro things of the world, as opposed to being very direct, like in the Muslim force, which something you can see in their history, how their history communicate the ideology, which is an important point too.
100%. But yeah, just like how, it's interesting that you say that how they are way more direct like that. Whereas, Jews would go and infiltrate the entertainment district, and then somehow sneak into the royal fed or get into the banking family, and somehow now you're indebted to these niggas and get in it financially. But is that what Muslims did when they took over Europe, when they took over Britain and stuff like that? It was more so they were wanted for their administrative capabilities and stuff like that. They were wanted for certain jobs and positions. People don't know the Queen had Islamic Arabic tutors to come up and teach herself.
The people of England and the Queen even attempted to team up with the Muslim Ottoman to overthrow the Pope at some point too. So a lot of people like are not aware of like all these like many interactions, which is important.
100%. And I swear to God, you talk to people and they forget that Europe is right above Africa. That is a stone throw away from Muslim ass North Africa. So I don't know what the hell niggas is talking about. That is far-fetched of that interaction. And if you really go to Europe, if you go to Britain right now, you know how much Muslims are right there. It's dense. It's heavy. A lot of Muslims. There's fucking beaches in France called Little Africa.
Yeah, bro. What's that British rapper who raps the song? No, my bitches get my bitches. What's the track with the Central C? What's it? Central C? I think that's his name.
His name is Central C. Don't kill me.
But I think he's a British rapper, and a lot of his UK slangs, I noticed his Arabic words. I was like, yo, what are you talking about, yo? Which it makes a lot of sense because even in Toronto, because Toronto's basically is a mix of Toronto's some Semitic language shit going on.
Hey, you know why? Jamaican. And why Jamaican? Because they're in the Caribbean. Caribbean. 100%. You know, see Rastas out there wearing turbans, bro. Like the way my mom and grandma would precariously mention like Muslims from their stories in Jamaica. You know, some Chinese people too for some reason. Here's some weird stories. My grandma's grandfather was an Irish sailor, which is interesting, but definitely so much interaction with those areas, external interactions, but there is a lot of Muslim activity going on in those areas. But yeah, maybe we can
rested, yes, and refreshed. Does this mean what we can't comprehend did something that we can't comprehend and finish something that we can't comprehend? The answer to that is yes. The human terminology we would use for it, the human terminology we use it is for us humans to understand. We would use the word rest when something was finished. But no. Rest and refresh doesn't mean finish. There's difference between say I'm making my car, I just finished. Everyone will understand finish doesn't mean I finished my car, I'm resting and refreshing. Don't play with words, you know. I'm not for that. No. Allah mentioned in the Quran about you. يسمعون الكلام ثم يحرفونه من بعد ما سمعوا عقلوه. That you hear the word of Allah, then you understand it and you change it. That's what you're doing right now. And that's we're not speaking to Jewish people. They are manifesting what Allah said about them in the Quran. Seriously. So now we have to understand. Hear me out.
I just want to make a quick comment about these Muslim niggas' hair. Like me as a dark skinned nappy headed ass nigga, I'm kind of really salt at their hair. Look at this nigga's twists. Yeah, I bet this nigga didn't even do anything. We had to do the brush. Nigga, I had to wear the do-rag for the. I bet this nigga just woke up like that. Look at this nigga here at the back with the afro. I bet this nigga never doesn't even own a pick. This nigga never even thought about a pick. Like, goddamn, these nigga in their lushable, niggerish looking hair. But anyway,
let me finish. What I'm saying is simple. Closing. Listen, Aaron. Closing the door is not same as I'm resting. Closing the door and resting is not the same. So when in the Bible said, God rest and refreshed, the one that has written that, was he lying or was he saying the truth? This is what I'm asking. Okay, now can I ask you something? Yeah, was he lying or saying the truth? I'm going to first interject you and stop you. I'm not going to tell you as a Muslim Please don't do the same. No, brother.
There's no such thing as lying. Lying is the same word as creating something to lie in as a spirit and as an observer. We lay in our own thoughts and feelings, so we always lie. So it's the same word. So there's no such thing as lie. This is what humans talk about. There's a black lie, there's a white lie. Now people talk about tip dancing, right? But this is why we can't get lost in words.
Yo, that's facts. In terms of if we look at it that we're experiencing life through our subjective filters, we're all lying, you know. We're not experiencing reality in its truest objective form. Yeah. So that's facts. That's true. And look at how my youth's not. Obviously, he's trying to show him the nuance of the question that's being asked, and this is what we're showing. Hey, yo, they're always going to talk about with Hebrew. It's always going to be mention the right side of things, and you know, on the right. What did Jesus say? Cast your net on the right side, and different stuff like that. Making me think of the right brain, which is more creative, you know, more flow, like less analytical, less.
Exactly. I would say in Judaism, like first of all, people in English just read from like one side. So say, let's say that we have a study or a main body of work. They have one way of interpreting it. That's it. These Jews, they have multiple direction to read their script, and they don't have to stick to what a linear pattern of understanding something, which put them in a like a way of create a multitude of facets of viewing something. This is why they run all the music business and like shit like that. Like it's the small things they do is what opens the big things for them. Which
And look at the
miss out.
mentalities that it builds.
Yeah, exactly. And these are the things people miss out. Just people like, oh, they're white. That's it. Nah, they just look how they use their mind.
Yeah, these ain't no regular white niggas. Let me tell you. If anything, this is white nigga OG. This is where all white people
overpowered.
Come from. The father.
Maximum status, 99, everything, yo.
1 second. I can't just keep going a second. My question is simple. Was he lying or saying the truth?
But let me finish. Yeah. Let me finish. That means is the words we use to explain the Torah, we use an expression called the Torah is written, Velushem and Ayudon, and the way for man to
understand. I understand that. So, my question, was he lying or saying the truth?
If we would read the Torah that humans can't comprehend it, it wouldn't have been given down to humans. So it's for humans to understand.
So the rest and the flesh, God gave it to us. Right?
Now, as for humans to understand, to comprehend the concept of a creation that came to completion, a human comprehension of it is and I'll stop you before I even finish. I want to finish with one more line. Is the way we understand it is that it came for humans understanding that completion. We use the word rest for it. Now, if you ask any Jew around from 3 years old, did God rest at the 7th day? He'll answer, we don't understand what it means, but there is something there for us.
Wait, you say you don't understand what it means, but you just said us means finished creation.
A second, what it means to God himself, it's for us to understand the completion of the universe.
No. So wait. So now God gave us a revelation that we cannot understand, and God chose the wrong word to tell us how. Okay, wait. Because everyone understand resting and refreshing.
Now they do this. There's something called the subjective realm, the objective realm. The Muslim is trying to jump from the subjective realm and then stay in the objective realm. That's it. The Jew is tiptoeing, but it actually creates a room for higher speculation, which actually creates more objectivity to eventually create. But the Muslim is trying to stay in one form of subjectivity that create his moral ground. So it's like I like both of these guys' ideas, but I'm like, yo.
And you see the mentalities and how the religion, and this is why you have to have an overarching perspective of both, because if we weren't versed in Judaism and Islam, would we be able to make the differentiation? Would we see it and just agree with the Jew? Or would we see it and just agree with the Muslim? Or would we see the overarching behind that's building the mentalities that's creating the output of how they're going about it? 100%. Look at this one black shorty just chilling there, yo. That's crazy.
Yeah. She actually come later and she claims she's from the tribe of Judah.
I'm dead, bro.
and then
she's the lion from Zion, a lion.
And then these Jews, they laugh at her, and then the Muslim goes like, "You don't believe Moses was black?" And he goes like, "Oh, Muslims believe Moses is black." And it's a whole other story, but like, but whatever.
Catch them. Yo, that's what pisses me off about the Jews, bro. Like, yo, I get so mad when they do that. When they want to be all drifty, warfty, and doing all of this stuff, don't want to follow the law exactly, want to make a loophole. But you guys, even if you follow the laws and commandments and cut off your pee and do all that, and you can't be Jews, you're not white. Literally, it bothers me. It bothers me a lot.
Does not mean closing the door. Does not mean finishing, resting and refreshing. Resting. No. Wait. Resting and refreshing. And go to English dictionary. Go to Hebrew dictionary. Refresh when you re-energize. Correct? Re-energize. That's the definition of the Creator. However, now, of course, there's a problem for you. So you're gonna, of course, because why? Now you are literally making your own language by telling us rest and refresh doesn't mean rest and refresh.
It means for you.
That's why I said us.
Listen, all of you listen.
So I can't speak to you anymore, Aaron. I have to go, Aaron. You know.
His understanding is only way he doesn't want to comprehend something.
Pause
The
right
full
there.
meaning of the verse.
These were the most important things that he ever said, where he basically catches him for attempting to make a language, aka jump between the word speculative, the word speculative meaning, and operative meaning, and then trying to expand beyond that. While the Muslims had to limit him, uphold the law. You can't just like sit there like a tap dancer and then try to dance around it. Like eventually you gotta stand on the word.
Yeah, and it's just like what you said before, the Muslims not seeing how you can derive the meaning from it by being so subjective and distant and nuanced about it. But obviously, that's the Sagittarius, or that's the Jupiter struggle right there. You know what I mean? Like legit, you want there to be meaning and purpose to it. You have to balance the inflation of things, if you get what I mean, of how expanding you can make things.
What you said is very interesting. I would like I would add the Sagittarius, or add the Sagittarius into like Judaism concept in terms of energy, but add Aries to Muslims because how direct about who they are and maintaining that image, the individuality.
I get what you mean. I feel more Taurus though. Feel more Taurus energy from Muslims in terms of the stubbornness.
I'll say both, like the entire spring season.
And yeah, 100%.
By taking it in its literal form and then questioning, is this literal mean A, B, and C? When I tell him what the literal form means, is for humans to understand what it means, completion of creation. And that's what this verse means. That's its intent. And that's why Jews, for 3,334 years, keep the Sabbath to commemorate the completion.
You know what? I understand what the Muslim is saying, because how could you say it's a nuanced thing that we can't really understand and then go and add a definition to it that is going to be the basis of your entire religion on why this is your holy day, that you don't even really understand the terminology, but yet you're trying to define and say that this is the meaning that is being purported from it. And if it's more nuanced, how can you say that this guy is wrong? If it's really that open and that nuanced, maybe you can say maybe there is a version of it where he's wrong, or you can just admit that there's a better word for it, or that you don't know.
This is Jews don't want to be held accountable for what do they do. This is why I think the most successful society at some point in history, when like the Muslims and the Jews work together, because in some way, shape, or form, kind of they held each other like accountable
against Christianity.
Yeah.
When Christianity was the overarching problem. That's funny.
That's true. That is true.
That's literally what happened. And then that's the foundation of America. No, most people don't know that. Shout out to Karimi Ahu talking about all of that, the Semitic and Jewish origins of ancient America, where a lot of the settlements that was established in America before America became America was these Jews and Muslims running away from religious persecution that was going on in Europe.
Like a lot of people don't realize, like Portugal, the word itself, Portugal, is the term for oranges in Arabic itself.
Oh,
this
shit.
This is why Spain is full of all these Muslims, Sephardic Jews, all these Semitic languages and shit, and how they came to America, which is obviously important because the way history is told to us, they tell us about the Crusades in the East, but they never tell us about the Crusades in the West. They do this weird thing where they make things, in my opinion, like one-sided, which makes us completely blinded to how the other side may have experienced the same thing.
100%. Just even the terms, and they get this from their Jewish brothers, where the Jews talk about goyim to talk about, refer to everybody else in the world who isn't a Jew. That's what the Christian church did at the times in terms of pagan and Punic and all of those different types of words. I bet they're the ones who started creating the distinctions. I wonder because even before the Crusades in these times, Jews and Muslims were living together in relative harmony. Like there wasn't that disturbance in terms of the Holy Lands and stuff like that, like where Jerusalem and stuff is right now. There wasn't this deadly conflict before Jews went over. I mean, yeah, the Jews, modern day Israelis, went over there and took over the land and starting the conflict, initiated their own state, their own governance, and took away Muslim governance before there was a minority Jewish population, but there was no headbutting and like that for a long time and then when the Crusades happened and the Christians ran up onto the holy city, they killed Jew and Muslim alike. They didn't give a fuck who it was. They didn't give a fuck if you was wearing a kippah or a turban, your head was coming off.
Yeah,
there's no Jesus piece.
Yeah, and a lot of times you would not be able to tell the difference between a Muslim or a Jew or a Christian either. Because it's the same thing. Even their names, even their language sounds alike.
Literally, that's what bothers me about Muslims and Jews. Like these niggas should like be fucking hugging and be drinking some non-alcoholic beer or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Should be splitting the kosher bread, the halal. But that's what I mean in terms of the kosher, the halal. They're both Semitic. They follow the same father. Abraham is the father of their religion.
Mm-hmm. Isaac and Ishmael. Yeah.
Like it's really kind of ridiculous. But this is kind of a brotherly squabble if you really think about it. This type of semantics, like, oh, that's not what mommy said. What exactly did mama say? She said I could take one of the pieces out the fridge. Yeah, she said one. So why'd you take two? That's what these niggas sound like.
Exactly.
Of the universe.
Okay, so therefore, wait, sorry. So therefore, I'm gonna conclude something, please. So one second. Yeah.
God created the universe. He's never needed to come back and.
Yeah. So therefore, now what was happening now? We just invented the English language. So brothers and sisters, rest and refresh. According to the Jewish here, doesn't mean rest and refresh. It means something else. So English language, I don't know what's gonna happen to you. No, doesn't mean rest and refresh. So brothers and sisters, rest and refreshed. According to the Jewish here, doesn't mean rest and refreshed. It means something else. So English language, I don't know what's gonna happen to you anymore. Jewish people are changing the English language.
Rest and refresh. What did he say?
Brother, what does it mean rest and refresh? What does it mean rest and refresh? All of us.
What did he say?
He was like, I don't know what you're gonna do and then he said something, some word that I didn't catch. Did he say like Judgment Day in Arabic or some shit like that?
Running back.
Would they understand each other or certain words?
No. They understand each other 100%. In the beginning, he kept calling him Akhi, my brother. So that they actually they understand each other like in a way that a Christian and Jew would not understand each other, or a Muslim or Christian would understand each other.
I'd imagine it'd be like Spain, or like a Spanish person from Spain speaking to a Mexican, where it's still Spanish, but they have a whole bunch of different slang words, different terminologies, of stuff, but it's still the framework of Spanish.
Yeah.
This is something like that, or maybe a Spanish person and an Italian person. They may be able to piece together what they're saying.
Like, for example, a lot of people, if you tell them there's such thing as Semitic languages in America from a modern world point of view, they wouldn't understand it. For example, I used to live in Malta. The way people spoke English there is different than other people in different areas. Now, we all speak English, but we speak English in different ways. So we keep mixing our thing. We have different ways of mixing the same words, all the way to the point you go downtown Toronto. All these niggas, they speak like the anti-Semitic. You might even call like an anti-Semitic movement, with the amount of words mixing, race mixing. It's like a whole like Semitic movement.
100%. That's funny.
So English language, I don't know what's gonna happen to you anymore. Jewish people are changing the English language.
The only one changing,
brother. What does it mean rest and refresh? What does it mean rest and refresh? All of us in English language. When someone say I'm arrested and refreshed,
God is a spirit. He's not in the flesh.
It's God's spirit. You believe God's spirit?
What is in the spirit?
I said, as I said before, you're trying to.
Wait.
Pause. The Christian, she believes in Jesus more, so she's trying to go to the belief aspect of the whole thing, while the Muslims had to stay in the ground, in the earth element, the practicality. What she's trying
Taurus.
to, yeah, exactly. What she's trying to more Leo exalt her solar plexus. Oh, you gotta believe. Oh, you gotta have faith.
And yeah, and the non-physical too, and talking about the spirit, which makes
Mhm.
sense. But when he said that, it was like, God is spirit. You believe God is a spirit? Is because I know Dr. Ali Muhammad isn't the conventional Muslim or doesn't share all the same beliefs, but is it? But he mentioned that the Quran speaks about, and then look at Allah, arm, leg, arm, head. Is this Allah, God, man concept what most Jews believe? Do they believe Allah is a man, or connected to the flesh body, or like man's like God incarnate type deal, more flesh like?
This is also a point where Muslims and Jews agree more with Christians, where they understand they are attempting to give anthropomorphism, or create, basically use things in the third dimension to describe attributes of God, while Christians treat these things that the Muslim and the Jews that they utilize as different attributes of God as deities and gods. So when the Muslims and the Jews tell you that we believe in what do you call it? We believe in Muhammad separate, Allah separate, and then Moses separate from Yahweh, and then they separate from God, or like whatever. They're communicating to you that they know how to separate and put these things together, while the Christian aspect of it is much more blurry in terms of language. There's no way of articulating what they're saying.
Okay. Okay. But I understand the essence of Judaism. The essence of the belief aspect is that there's no physical traits of God, and why you're having idolatry is forbidden, because there shouldn't be an image. It has to be the Great Spirit.
But notice this: as they go through the Bible, God tells them, as you guys go through this journey, you have to get to know me. And throughout the Bible, the Torah, they utilize different words to explain their God. They say his Adonai. They say his what do you call it? They describe him Hashem. Baal. Hashem just means the name. So when the Jews say we praise Hashem, they're not even telling you God's name. They're telling you we praise the name, because they don't mention their God name,
his
Yahweh,
name.
which is because they know how to. They are more, a little bit more. They deal with words as precious. They didn't whore out words at that point yet.
I get what that means, and we probably don't even understand the levels of power that goes with that. Like, if we had certain words that we had that power to, that we literally didn't say it, and we felt the consequences when we said it, and when we feared it or revered it, and the word literally had that much energy. You know what I mean? That sounds very potent and strategic, and we don't understand what's really going on, which is very. So that nigga's lineup is on point. Yo, where does this nigga get his haircut, bro? On God.
Oh, and also one more point. While in the Bible, they describe God as God or Lord. That's it. There's no other way of describing God. So they don't add attributes to him unless you read the entire story. While these people could figure out their gods just from the attributes. And that allows them basically to create a society where they could actually pull out these attributes, as opposed to believing in them, because they don't even know what this attribute is. Like, if you tell a Christian, describe God, their God, their God, their Lord and God doesn't have many words. It's gonna be Jesus, the Father, the Father. They're not gonna Jesus. They're not gonna be like Muslim and Jews. They have so many words for it. The merciful,
the benevolent,
the judgment, the savior, the protector, the water, or whatever. All these words allow them to see God within their immediate surroundings more often, because they're pinpointing to it. While it maybe in Christianity uses this one word or two words prevent people to see the word in their daily life, since there's no way of connecting it, since we even know the word God itself comes from the tribe of God, and that comes from your head, your brain, nervous system, Aries. So like it's a whole different story.
But what you say, Christians have like more of a connection because they would pin it to Jesus, you know,
They,
that's
this is
their
the key.
connection to God.
This is
Would
the
they
key.
see themselves
They
into
utilize.
that, and less in their environment, or less in the external world? Would they relate themselves with God more because they do that?
They relate themselves to God through what Jesus taught them, aka the heart chakra, the solar plexus, while Jews are more like head dominant, if you get
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
This is where
100%.
it literally explains to you how they see the world from that different body systems.
Interesting. And then where would you say the Muslims are? In the throat? The throat area?
I would say definitely around the head, neck, like very close, because they're not that separative in terms of like ideology.
I think so. And like people don't understand, like there's so much stuff going hidden within our bodies that correlate with cosmology and our psychology that we don't understand. Because like with the throat aspect, if you look at the fifth chakra and what that means within that area, and then how it connects to Muslims and speaking the language of Arabic, the guttural noises, how it really activates that throat area. Literally, I guess speaking.
Oh, we're lagging.
Yo, that's fucked up. That's all good though. Yo, Harry. A shout out for that comment. Much love for sure. And we're gonna keep on going and keep giving that knowledge for sure. So much more to come. So much more to come. And we all gonna grow together. 100%. Yo. Yo, Harry, get your bum ass back here.
Oh, hello. Sorry.
We back.
Yeah. But like, what were you saying?
Yeah. I was just talking about that God man concept.
I think we speak about language and things along this nature, which is very important. Caesar was speaking about the guttural sounds, which is something people do not realize. When Muslims and Jews read their stories and these mentalities is getting ingrained in their physical body due to the fact they are saying words and letters that vibrates their internal organs, but they're also moving their physical body while they're doing it together. So it creates all this fucking crazy ass ritual. What Christianity, they stripped it out of it, and it kind of made it like I would describe it as just a weaker input, because Christianity has its own benefit.
And,
So
and
the, like for example, Catholics compared to Christian. Well, actually, I can't say that because Christians they do sing and things along this line, so that'd be incorrect.
that's what I was about to say. I was like, in a traditional sense, or like the components, probably still have those remnants, because Christianity is pagan as hell, which doesn't make any sense. But it shows you that the roots of Christianity, like Christmas, for example, and why they would celebrate Christmas, which would be more of a allegedly a pagan holiday of the people at them times. But it goes to show, puts into perspective the origin of religions like that, in terms of how the distortion came through over time. And is it the language, in aspect that causes less distortion? Because look at how maybe Christianity started with those rituals in place, with those meanings, especially coming from these other Semitic languages. But why does it get retained? The ritualistic aspect gets retained in these older religions, or with Muslims and with Judaism, but it's lost in Christianity.
You are so funny. I think it's related to how Christians are interpreting the word of Jesus through Paul, who was
Yeah.
basically a Christian apologist, who's basically telling the Jews, "All right, we can't uphold all these commandments, these 613 commandments." That's his basically excuse, and telling him all this work and shit like that. Basically, what made him basically he's the first Christian apologist, and basically created the first form. He made Jesus look more of a victim than he was actually is, in my opinion, by Christians now interpreting this virtue and principle through like another character who are
Yeah,
altering it a little bit. This is why Jews and Muslims argue against that, against Paul.
I get that. Paul and Peter, right?
And Paul, they got all prosecuted. What happened to them?
100%, which is very interesting. And was it Paul or was it Peter? People don't understand certain things that these guys had done, and how they would contradict with the church naturally. Like it's, imagine, because and I would people don't know the connection with Buddhism, or just the ideas of Jesus being an amalgamation or rippling through other cultures and stuff like that. But Paul went and got baptized, did a baptism too, which is a Buddhist ritual tradition where they purify with water. And John the Baptist himself too. This nigga had dreads. He was like he didn't dress and look like the other commoners. They were attributing him more to like an Oriental, more of an Eastern look, like he was this weird hippie dude, out here doing some weird shit. But Paul went and shaved his head. Who shaves their heads? So that's what I mean in terms of the origins of this type of stuff, where they're straying away from the original without knowing. They're still thinking they're clinging on to the original while they're straying away, which is interesting.
This is why the Christian claim Mary was a virgin, but this is where the Jews they say no. Paul didn't understand Hebrew. That word doesn't mean that. It means actually a younger woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like where the separation happened too. So like,
and it loses its potency in terms of, I understand what the Muslim is talking about. And I'm sure Jews get frustrated with other Jews because it doesn't seem like niggas is on the same side. On the Muslim side, I feel like there's the Sunni versus Sufi, right? Sunni and Sufi,
and Shia, basically Sunni versus Shia, yeah. And there's
Shia,
and like there's Sufi, like these are other groups, but these the groups that got outcasted basically.
Yeah, but so I guess they do have their differences, but I feel like it would be more within the Jewish community.
Jews, this is the thing, Jews in their community, they agree to disagree. You know why? Because their history and their tradition is based upon arguing with each other, like the Talmud and
being able to
Mishnah.
debate.
Yeah, while Muslim, it's not. They obviously argue with each other.
Together.
Yeah, that's why they're scientists and shit like that. Even to the point that like the scientific method was developed by like a Muslim and shit like that. Like science was began by a bunch of religious niggas and shit like that.
Yes, with the church, with Arabic. 100%. Let me open up the other one, brother Yusuf. Brother
Yeah.
Yusuf.
Yeah, brother Yusuf. One of my all-time favorite rabbi. This is the type of rabbis that I know that will never move away from the Torah. Me as a person, this is the type of person that I would take the Torah and hit him in his head and kill him. Because I know how stuck he is and grounded in that book, and which is very admirable, which I will never like bring him down for it. Like I like niggas who could stand on their words, but also move around their word and but still stand on it.
100%, because they're representing, like, look at it as an aspect of yourself, or one perspective, and they hold on to that perspective while everybody's haphazardly using other perspectives where they're not even really understanding what they're doing. But these guys do. And man, I agree with so much of the Torah, the first 5 books. People don't understand just the Moses story. I swear to God, that part of and that's what they hold on to, the first 5 books. When you get into Torah and Talmud, it loses its magic. And the Torah and Talmud is nothing but commentary on the first 5 books. So it's like it and then the rest of the Old Testament is more so of a historical record of the descendants of the certain Hebrew tribes and leaders, and how they went through and how they upheld it, maybe for certain psychological aspects. That's where the Old Testament comes to play, and where it may have values just to see certain energy play out. But why do they only value the first 5 books? And you can see the potency, and that's where you find the Torah codes, where you can write down a whole bunch of things. That's where you find the information. It's like, how the fuck could you have possibly have known this 3,000 years ago? Like, beyond that, everything else is more so conjecture. Did I show you that comedian Ari Shafir, who did the comedy special called The Jew? And then he kind of just gave through the lens of comedy perspective of Judaism, and he was just talking about he was just laying out what Judaism is, but obviously in a comedic tone. But he talked about something that was in the Talmud, talking about the 160th rule. I wonder if you know about it. How you're not allowed to eat certain things based off of the Torah, like pork and ham and stuff like that. But in the Talmud, they have the loophole, the loop-de-loop type shit. So they're like, so the rabbis were talking about what if performed hypotheticals. That's because that's
No, we're lagging again.
So what if some
Down.
Jesus Christ.
I'm so cheese, yo.
All right.
Nah, don't worry. I'm gonna show brother Yosef.
His voice, it happened only once and will not happen again until the Mashiach comes. There's going to be wonderful things in the world, but until then, it was the most substantial thing that ever happened. You have to understand, there's 80,000 religion and cults, all of them fake, that came after.
Yo, pause for 1 minute. Yeah, this is so funny.
Shame. Yo, I don't understand how they can do that and no one else in this world can, man. That's fucked up.
Because they believe that shit to the point they look like they're full of shit themselves.
Bro.
Yo, like, it's so funny when you I want to see something. So yeah, they believe in the Mashiach coming, Jesus coming, which was a question a lot of Jews got prosecuted for, because their understanding was given to Christianity. So that in a lot of Christian societies, people do not know the frustrated actually the Pope, and they came to a lot of arguments with Jews and different rabbis because they don't have a definite answer whether the Messiah is gonna come or not. He's gonna say, they only say the Mashiach is coming. Then they say we don't know when.
And that's like such a central aspect of the religion, which that faith aspect, that leap of faith. Whereas look at the Muslim really looking for that grounding. So it really does build that different type of thing, which allows for more movement, more navigation. So I bet a Jewish person would be able to explain themselves and their beliefs and traverse around the reasons about their beliefs way more than a Muslim might be able to, because if you don't understand the practical aspects of the religion, you may not, they wouldn't be able to take you on the journey and build the CGI effects and stuff like that, like how the Bible does. That Bible is crazy. You write about it being 3,000-year-old manga or anime, like legit. When I hear rabbis talk about this shit too, I didn't realize like they talk about like superpowers. Like niggas had superpowers in the Old Testament, like the tribes of Judah. The guy said that Flash, Hulk, and all of these Avengers superheroes come from the tribes of Israel. All of the Avengers is based off of their type of shit. And it's like, how would you have ever gotten that? And that's what I mean. These niggas needed some better writers. They needed a team of writers. Need Ichiro Oda to hop on the bitch, teach these niggas about pacing and plot, beginning, middle, end. Niggas
yeah, that's the funniest thing ever.
It upsets me. There's no that rhythmic flow to it.
All of them started with the story of one faker and one liar. Now, one time they brought any witnesses to their fairy tales.
Oh,
no one,
shit.
not Muhammad, not Mary, not Buddha. It was a story of a faker, made up a story. They asked him, who witnessed that? No one, I was alone. Buddha, you had an enlightenment? Wow, wonderful. Anybody witness it? No, I was alone. Mary, you had a dream? God came to you in a dream and made you pregnant? Mazal tov. But we have a problem here. Anyone saw it? No, in a dream. How can anyone see it? But how can God come to a married woman and make her pregnant and make a kid that is illegitimate? Mamzer. God could not go to a single girl? Free? And bring a kid from her that the kid would be legit? Why has to go to a married woman who just got married? Why is it? In a Torah, it's death penalty to go with a married woman. It's a death penalty. That means it's a despicable act to cheat with a married woman. For both of them, it's death penalty.
By Torah law, should God be executed?
Yo, that's a
why can God do that shit? Yo, if you really think about that.
But this is what I said earlier. There's no such thing as contradiction in the Bible or the Torah. It's just limited to our understanding. This is why these people they have compiled books of arguments between this is how you look at the verse for multiple ways, because they never want to get caught up by what they created, basically.
Yeah. And look at the comment that was said. That's exactly what you're saying. The fact that when you ask someone, they naturally explain it in a metaphor and allegories and parables and religions, like this is facts, and we do that on a daily basis. But these niggas are gonna be up here arguing about some metaphors that niggas had used. Like even the video with the Muslims and the Jews, like you know how much more of a productive conversation these niggas could have had. But they were stuck on some semantics. Semantics.
They couldn't get beyond the word, beyond the fourth dimension.
100%.
100%. Yo, tell me why this nigga's racist as hell, bro. Like
No. Don't make fun. Rabbi Yosef, honest Rabbi, this putting work in the Torah.
Yo, I'm bet.
All the possibilities God would choose something that is worse than murder. How dumb you could be. Ooh, you're talking to the world. 2 billion people follow this fairy tale. Half of America they own. Why? The world is full of foolish people. Nothing is new under the sun. Then you come to Muhammad. Muhammad, you got the Quran? Wow, Mazal Tov. Mabruk. Mabruk, ya Muhammad. Who watched that you alone with Angel Gabriel giving you the Quran? No, I was alone. Nobody saw it. Mustafa, Saeed, Abdallah. No one saw it? No, I was alone. Of course you were alone, because you are making up a story. It would be a lot more convincing if 50 Arabs saw Muhammad getting the Quran, no? But why Muhammad didn't bribe them? What's the problem? He probably had 50 cousins. Don't get all of them. Hey, Saeed, Mustafa, Muhammad.
Which is interesting, which is very...
He makes sense. Watch us get argue against that again.
Mahmoud, come here, all of you. Each one of you get $100 and learn this text. What's this?
What?
Learn how you saw me getting the Quran from Angel Gabriel. But you didn't get the Quran. Uskut ya abal. Stop. What are you talking about? Be quiet. You're supposed to learn it like it happened. Okay, no problem. That's what I'm paying you for. To testify a false testimony. Your job is to all of you swear, say, Wallah, Bismillah, Wallah, la, la. I swear on my life, the angel came down and gave Muhammad, our cousin, he gave him the Quran, and we all fell down. Why Muhammad didn't bring 50 Arabs and bribe them? What's the big deal? It would be a lot more convincing when 50 witnesses claim that the angel handed the Quran into your hand and nominated you to be a prophet. Why he didn't bring?
Pause.
He didn't want to be
he about to juke you. He about to Gemini you. Watch this. Watch this.
Stage. In the future, they will come to blackmail him. Hey, Muhammad, you think you're making millions, you became a prophet, everyone bow down to you, everybody gives you a donation, and you throw us 100 bahts. I want 100,000 right now. I need to buy a house. Why you come to me? You're not giving me 100,000. I'll tell everyone how you fake the story. You know,
Pause.
one day
he's literally criticizing the same thing his people did. All of them agreed, and they all probably bribed each other, agreed on mentality. Yo, listen, but they probably did it in a much more efficient way. They're like, yo, let's create a banking system, like a state or something, and let's make all the children the benefactor of our mentality. Like they went really about it, and they made it like they say there's honor among thieves. That's all I'm gonna say.
And I understand what he's saying, and why people come to these conclusions based off of what is written and based off of what is given. But it's funny with them having that open mindset, and it does allow for the room to think of that nuanced type of perspective. But look at how is he proving that they're more valid? Because allegedly they had witnesses, and he's saying that they would have bribed Muhammad if he had paid someone off. And he's already assuming, he's not even doing the hypothetical as if maybe he was right. Then no, he's already saying you're false. So how would you have to pay off niggas to hide the fact that you're false? And it's like, yo, he's not even giving a chance, or even looking at a nuanced, nuanced perspective, which is interesting.
Like Jews made an important rule in their book to protect them, which Muslim Christians do not realize. They made the rule that we cannot follow any other prophet than Moses, all the way to the T. Even if another prophet came to speak about the message of Moses. So they basically created a system where you can't even come in and hijack it by telling them you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So you can't convert them, literally.
At all. 100%. 100%. And I swear that's it's you're not even allowed to supposed to be debating Muslims like that. Like be on the street, talking to niggas like that.
Like Jews are not allowed to debate. They don't convert people. Like Christianity is like based heavily on conversion, but Jews they're not about converting. They hate converting.
That's for sure. and they're still clinging it to a bloodline. And maybe we can get more into the astrological correspondence after that, and how all of these niggas talking about metaphors, literally.
Yeah, and we are like their bloodline is made of their mind, and they share the same blood based upon their mind. So like that's a big cue too.
Yeah, and 100% facts.
We're saying the same thing. It's lost in words across all the
unnecessary ass arguments. That's 100%.
Like they literally like this is how I view humans. They seem like fishes in the sea. This is breathing air, just saying the random things. It looks like to me just learn how to breathe air.
Yeah. I feel you on that, man. I feel you.
You turn against him. You bribe the witnesses. One day they're gonna come and want more money. Once you're being blackmailed and you cooperate, assume that they will return again.
What if the people that you bribed, or what if you didn't even need like he's pinning it to such a closed box to try and disprove these other guys when they're arguing about the same ancestors. Like they're talking about Abraham. They're 99% the same.
Notice how he's getting lost in the specific, and Jews are talented and fighting the devil within the details, because they take the main body, the text, and then they go, instead of staying in the story like Christians, they go deeper. They go beyond the words, beyond the letters. They start like picking up, they start removing the whole book all the way to the point. You're like, yeah, what about the book?
Yo, dead ass. Because how did I understand there was a bunch of Hebrew Israelites that witnessed this event. First and foremost, if you want to go and talk about credibility, and people want to talk about blackmail, and this guy's already, how do we know that the Hebrew Israelites didn't lie? Didn't just tell us that Mount Sinai? They just come up with a plan to edge out some way. Allegedly, by your story, they're coming out of slavery. Allegedly, by your story, they're wandering through the desert for 40 years without the tools of civilization to help promote themselves. It seems like them, out of anybody, if you want to start accusing somebody, has more of an incentive to falsify a type of story. And if you want to talk about the dumbness to believe certain things, these niggas got lost in allegedly, because that's not at all where it happened, and then it didn't happen at all, because it's all astrological correspondences and not a historical event. It's more so a metaphor to explain psychological and bodily functions, clothed in the metaphors of stories. But before you even get to that, if they really were the tribe of Israel, or Moses and the people them walking through the desert over there in Egypt, it's an 8-day walk to fucking Israel, to Jerusalem from Egypt in between. Unless you're retarded, you're from there. How's the clouds? It's probably a clear ass sky. If you couldn't see the one, like you don't even have to know anything about astronomy. Be like, hey, wasn't that star on that side last night when we was walking? And when we looking at different shit, like how for 40 years you're telling me no nigga looked upwards? That's all you needed to do to find out north, south, west, east, and where you were going. And how come God gave you divine revelation and all of you witnessed it, and that led to this religion that led for 3,000 years, but nigga couldn't tell you turn right? Like, I don't understand. If you want to talk about hypotheticals and all, it started breaking this shit down. I don't understand that type of shit.
They are the greatest as writing like a vague story and then telling you that it's not actually vague.
100%. 100%.
They leave so much leeway to the point you be like, yo, stop jaywalking in the mental realm. Just walk straight.
literally. It's crazy.
Again and again and again. He didn't want this problem. So he came. I was alone. So every one of the fake religion, there's always a story of one man, except our story, which is the only truth. That there were millions of people, they came out of Egypt. 7 weeks later, we stood at Mount Sinai, and that's what described in Parashat Yitro.
Okay,
in the morning,
I understand the argument a little bit more now, because they're like, broken telephone. How would you get the same consistent story from millions of people? But then that it all leaves it up to conjecture too, to see, because how verifiable are these?
Exactly. This is where they develop their science of narration. Can we trust these witnesses or not? Which became like a which actually itself lead into science and a whole nother. It's almost like creating a science around, can we trust this witness or not, essentially.
I want to debate a Jew so much. Like, you have no idea, bro. Like, I want to go up against the top brass. I want to go up to the highest of highest. Debate Yusuf, fam. Talk and ask them just these certain questions, because even in the Talmud, like from that book that you put me on to, the alphabet that changed the world, which is crazy because you only ever talked about the first sentence, the first couple of sentences of the that was deep enough to dive into.
Dude, literally niggas talk about space warping itself within the first few letters, like literally, like whoa.
Dead ass. But he showed excerpts from certain books in the Talmud, from the Kabbalah and all of the other Talmudic stuff that they have, where these Jewish rabbis are saying, yo, the Torah is wrapped in a garment, and beneath that garment there is flesh, the flesh of the Torah, and then beneath that flesh there's the soul, there's the real true meaning and concept, meaning that it's wrapped in layers. If you could read it and take it as a historical story, but that's only the top layers of the Torah, and then you can get into the flesh of certain things. The
Torah is right there. I think it's the Taurus field. It's because they're trying to basically learn how to circle around the entire field. Like basically do a 360. This is why all the letters are the shape of what this Taurus is made out of. And if they know how to pay attention to each letter, they know how to view a thing through all its shapes and forms, compared to people who kind of stuck in that aspect, or who don't utilize the letters. They use the entire word, and the word itself is big because it's made up by letters. It's almost like using a tool and not knowing what the tool is made up by, which is very important.
To be able to utilize it properly, right? Or to maximize the output from it. And 100%. 100%. But yeah, these guys, it's kind of crazy how we get into these loop-de-loops, and not to mention all the astrological correspondences. Like, I was watching this guy talking about astrotheology and just breaking things down, and then he was on a podcast with another guy who's obviously a skeptic. I hate when, like, I understand why the Jews don't go, or Muslims wouldn't go and debate some random nigga, some atheist or some. Like, no, don't go do that. Because when I see a lot of people talk about stuff that I'm into, or that I would go and talk about and shit like that, onto some dumbass break, to some regular guy or some guy who's not really into this type of shit, and he asks some dumb questions or says a whole bunch of stupid shit and questions it. Part of me just gets mad. But when you see that shit, but what was I going to with that? I was going somewhere with that. When you see people debate, the astrotheology guy,
Santos.
Yeah. Well, it was a guy who learned from Santos, but I was watching Santos too. But this particular guy with astrotheology, what was I saying? Motherfucker.
Oh, don't worry, it's gonna come back.
It'll come back. It's in the Taurus field. But so much mental loop-de-loops. I don't know how you can build it, but one thing that we have to understand is that these niggas control the world. Muslims control the world. These Jews control in terms of pure number, because the really only one that's controlling the world is God, and not these niggas gods. The niggas that the God that superimposes all of that, or that separates all of that. If you get what I mean, just the overarching energy that allows us to debate about this crap.
And basically, you gotta consider that you'd be like, why does all possibility allow this? You gotta consider the fact that all possibility allow this because they're doing so many correspondings, or above, so below. It makes sense for all possibility to show himself through them, and what we could learn from them, how far, like, where did they go wrong and what did they do actually good. Because, like, this is how they build the Bible. It's multitude of books different ideas. They test out. This is why they say basically they start with the Torah, but and then I think Christianity, and then say Islam. But almost like Islam is the finalization in terms of these things, at least from their perspective, because they tell you where went wrong in the Torah, where went wrong in the Bible, and shit like that.
100%. 100%. And then
you just get realize it's people testing out different they doing real life science experimenting and trying to do different create different subjects, and people getting offended by being the subject who was caught up by the state that was created by the father at that point. But then you guys eventually move on and like be your own father type of shit.
Yeah, 100%. All they're doing is guiding mentalities and building mentalities, and that's what religion is. It's the first form of government. It's the first form of mind control. It's the first form. People say that humans didn't become civilized. They became farmed, which is interesting. And where they started to be cultivated, they started farming humans. But how can you possibly do this? Well, if you're looking at the metaphor and look at how it's operating with plants, you're literally, not only are you genetically modifying plants and you're splicing and putting things together to change and alter the things that you want. You have to have deep, intricate knowledge of the aspects that you are changing. So this is what they're doing with knowledge of human psychology, knowledge of human physiology. They farming niggas and then creating mutts in different types of races and shit like that, and all different types of shit, mixing in new mentalities, new ways of seeing things. They spliced and engineered the modern day Republicans, modern day Democrats, modern day Muslims, modern day all of these type of things based off of the knowledge of these stuff. And you can see it. And I would cuss these books for how they're written, simply because I like story. I like story, but I understand it's deeper than that, and the levels that you can get it. To create that multi-layered type aspect where, depending on the type of brainwave that you are in, you would notice and perceive different things. Maybe you can't write a cohesive story, or maybe from a certain perspective, you would see more of a flow, more of a, like with astrology. Like what I was talking about with the astrotheology that's superimposed, like say on the gospel, for example, which is it's throughout the whole Bible. But if you don't know the symbolism, like for example, that's what I was talking about. That astrotheology guy was talking about Thomas Jefferson and how he didn't like the gospel in its current form presented by the church, especially Mark.
All these people who started America, like Thomas, George Washington, all these people, I think
they're like, this is forgery, or this is weird shit.
And they literally forged their own system based on the Bible. They had like a lot of Aquariuses in their group, and one of them, I think someone created like a new pamphlet, and that book was the book that George Washington read to his troops every day when they went outside to conquer America. Which is interesting because they took a lot of their ideas from Christianity, but a lot of them rejected Christianity. This is why a lot of Christians, they would make videos about the forefathers of America being, they are Luciferians, they are Freemasons, because they're rejecting Christ. But they also talk about in different material, they love Christ, they love Christianity, they love the British island they came from and their homeland and the law. But then they're doing this. But then you gotta understand, they came to America to practice a new form of system. This is why America is the land of capitalism, where we could create different corporations, LLC, and not be upheld by the monarchy laws that is more upheld in Western society, in Europe, the United Kingdom, which is a lot of people are not able to conceptualize fully.
Yeah, 100%. And especially with the beginnings of America, they were already so much over those types of governing and European thought to a specific degree, where they wanted to carve out new ways, but obviously use. But then again, I honestly don't think like the way that we're talking. I think the origins of Christianity is way more obscure than we. Because did they really come over here to spread Christianity in the terms of Christianity is what we think? Like, was Christianity, Judaism, and Islam really separate in the way that we perceive it 1,000 years ago? Because I see so much Semitic references. in terms of the founding fathers and what they believed in. Don't even get me started on George Washington writing the letter to the Sultan of Morocco talking about we believe in the same God, you know, so why is, and then not to mention that the first seal or coat of arms of America was what's it called? What's his name? Daniel's dream, or Jacob.
Oh,
Joseph's dream, when he had a dream that he was gonna rule his brothers, he was gonna, you know, all of that stuff. It had the 12 stars and shit like that, and it had the clouds in the position exactly how you described it, and that's based off of Joseph's dream. But then, I seen that on Glenn Beck too, and then Glenn Beck was fire with that. This is when I was on Fox. This is on Fox, and then he Fox was fire back in the day for that shit. And then he went and showed, okay, maybe you don't want to believe that. Maybe it's a far stretch that the founding fathers were Semitic. He's like, this is the old coat of arms that Thomas Jefferson and them. It was literally Moses receiving the commandments on Mount Sinai. That was the coat of arms for America in the times of them building it. So yeah, that's what I mean about the obscurity of us talking about Christianity. Was there really this distinction? And then look at Latin America right now. They're the most Christian Central Mexico, Central America, and South America is the highest population of Christians. But we were also worshiping the sun before. Quetzalcoatl was there before. Ra, Peru, Heru. They were worshiping the sun before. And then not to mention Egypt, you know, being the origins of Christianity or having the same type of religious practice and stuff like that. So, and then look at the Christians themselves calling niggas pagans, but celebrating pagan, like it doesn't make any sense.
Hey, it's so funny. Christians in Europe called other European pagans too. So it's like Christians they were like a whole separate group, and they thought they were basically Jesus going on around the world, basically. Like literally, like literally, I won't be surprised if the Pope convinced all the Spanish and Portuguese fleet they are actually going on a mission to save the world in the name of Christ.
100%. And it sounds like they wanted to be Jews, but the Jews would have let them be Jews. so they created a new way for them to be Jews, because that's a and you can see that they're closer to maybe Jewish thought in terms of the way that they would go about that, in terms of the goyim. You know, as far as I know, Muslims don't have a derogatory term to mention everybody cohesively like that, or do they?
They don't do it in the same. They don't use it in that derogatory way that you described, because you use like tip dance. They would use it under specific conditions. If you come towards their belief system.
Yeah, they wouldn't call you a goy to your face. They'll just say it in their little Jewish circles by themselves, and we giggle about it after.
And I say a few allegories, and they laugh at it. That's it.
Literally. But through these videos, you can see their mindset and where they can come in cohesively, and where they're getting lost by thinking this shit is talking about history and not seeing the deeper metaphors. And even if you want to argue that it's history, fine, to a degree, maybe there are remnants, but it's not in the way that we think. It's more so that these concepts and metaphors ring so true to human experience that we mimic these events and play out these archetypes over and over again, that we create new Moseses, that we create new pharaohs that are going to impress new Hebrews, that are going to create new Hebrew Israelites, that are going to create new Moseses, that are going to create more pharaohs, that are going to create more Hebrew. You know, it's like a cycle like that. If you want to talk about it in a historical sense,
there's no difference between the pharaohs and his priest, or the pope and his cardinals and bishops, or the queen or the king with his royal family, or the United States with their president, and then Congress is an elder, and then they have like other people in the council too.
100%. Why do you think they separated? Two-part question. Why do you think they separated and made the religion so external in the first place in terms of historical books instead of deep philosophical metaphors about humanity and life? And then why do you think that they would demonize astrology? Because it's forbidden in Islam, is it not? It's forbidden in Judaism, is it not? And Christianity. But they do have deep roots. Obviously, the entire religions are constructed by these things, but isn't divination to it? Maybe in Islam or more Oriental, more psychic, or divination is a little bit more accepted or more integrated in society. Because look at Timbuktu and their universities. Dr. Ali said they had those pentagram tables showing the hot, wet, cold, the blue, green, like that was the science that they was teaching. So it's heavily divinatory. And then how could they not see the astrological significance of why these stories will ring true 3,000 years later? Like, where did that separation happen?
Obviously, later on when the politics got involved, because like you always hear about it, the rabbinic Jews taking over different, because as the Torah or these people grew and moved through generation and times, things were development, and at some point there was a stage called like the rabbinic Jews, and this is where they start altering things, and this kind of where things go wrong in the terms of and it creates too much room.
Broken telephone type shit where it gets distorted through time.
Exactly. Yeah. All the way to the point that you be willing to sacrifice the state to survive yourself, because I'm pretty sure a lot of Jews, they have their wealth in a form of like private assets, while more like say the Saudi royal family, their wealth is visible. Taurus, the oil, the building,
resources of the land.
And then Jews, you like, yo, what do you own? Nah, I own nothing, yo. Maybe I have a house in Poland, a house in America, and they're like, you don't know. They know all these people and they jump on private jets. They know like some crazy shit.
And that shows the energy that's being channeled and how it transitions. So maybe that's what it is. But that's what I mean in terms of the disconnect. Maybe you can control people if they don't know that they're utilizing a specific energy. They won't. It's so you don't see the different shapes of forms.
Exactly.
So if you want to do Capricorn, you have to do Capricorn the way that we said that you do Capricorn. Don't intimately learn Capricorn and see the different shapes of form that Capricorn can manifest and the way you can have your own structure. No, just follow the preset structure that we gave you. Just be Moses.
Exactly.
Just be Abraham and your girl be Sarah. Why can't it be just that simple? That's how these niggas will look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, yo, we can wrap it up here. We was going in for a while.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to look at it and for us to have a higher overarching perspective of these things. And it's very valuable because we're able to extract things from these rabbis. We may be talking pretty critically about these guys, but there's no doubt their intellect and their research within these things. But but what we can step back and see is the mentalities that are being developed by the specific things that they're doing. And now we can take and pick, because I want to talk like Yosef, brother. All of these fantasies. The one, he was dissing everybody. He was calling only a Jew can say that everybody is wrong, so strong like that everybody is dumb for believing their stupid beliefs.
Exactly, brother Muhammad. Why wasn't he able to be Abdullah Mustafa? Just to, like the amount of mockery, yo, like that's funny, yo.
Yo, I felt that with Kanye and all that. I'm not even gonna get started on that.
Like a Jew would. I want to see a Jew debating Kanye, man. A Jew would dust Kanye.
Well,
Kanye belief will overlap anything the Jew would dust him, yo. He's approach it with love, yo.
Do you remember? Lex Friedman? No.
I heard that name. Yo, Lex Friedman. That's the boring dude that interviewed. Yeah, man, that dude was
He's a Jew. No. He's not, but this is what I mean, where it becomes so obscure. Through alleged bloodline, he's a Jew, but I've seen him drink, get drunk and do different things, you know what I mean? Like, so, he's not necessarily Jew where he keeps Shabbat every week. Well, then I don't know this nigga's personal life, but he's not a Jew, like within that sense, like a religious, but he calls himself a Jew, and the way he called Kanye out, but the way that he trapped him, he didn't give Kanye any room. just like these niggas, he's already presupposing that you're wrong and that he has a correct perspective. Talking about, oh, my family's history from Ukraine. Why is your suffering from Ukraine any different than Kanye's family history suffering? Like, this is the argument that they're trying. I'm not even getting started on that shit.
Yeah,
That shit pisses me off, bro.
Like at some point we can do infinite regression when it comes to victimization.
It's either we acknowledge all of our pain and trauma or we drop it.
That's
no nitpicking. No, I'm done with all of that shit.
Yeah, but niggas be like, nah, what about Mussolini? No, what about Hitler? Oh, what about the Muslim Empire? They told you to submit. Oh, but we don't want to submit. We want to believe. Oh, but we don't know. Should we believe or submit? Yeah, it's just, like a whole lot of like this video was about basically Star Wars and like in a simplest way.
Theological Star Wars. And then we can put Rabbi Yusuf's head on the thumbnail as like Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader. The Muslim guy as the Vader lightsaber. Yo, dead ass, bro. But yeah, we can wrap it up at that. Check out our website, truspace.biz. Check out our Instagram, truspace_, and we'll catch you guys on the flip.
Take care.